I've got them handwritten, so. Well, I hope you all settled in, had a nice lunch, and got coffees and sparkling water at hand, because you're in for a treat. My name's Toni Cody, and I'm the chair. I'm lucky enough to be the chair of Rocket Cedar. And on behalf of Rocket Cedar and the entire board, I welcome you all here to our Food Waste and Loss Program Showcase, our inaugural. And we're delighted to be introducing to you our amazing cohort of founders and entrepreneurs this afternoon. And I'm sure most of you have now had a chance to meet this incredible group of talented individuals. Before proceeding, I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners and custodians of the land on which we meet today, the peoples of the Kulin Nation. I also pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Well, what a year. And I'm a Sydney-sider, and can I tell you, I thought I'd have to actually get on a boat to get here. I got every single flight I was on got cancelled. I know my succulents that I potted on you a week ago are now floating down my driveway. But what I will say is, even though it's been a weird start to the year, we've amazingly continued to work remotely, and we've run much of this accelerator program on Zoom. We've been managed to be able to get through an enormous amount of work, and today's showcase is an example of how agile this group is. The next generation of exciting ideas in food waste and loss has come from a whole lot of amazing tech agility as well. It's a privilege to be here, surrounded by some of the brightest minds in the industry, and we at Rocket Cedar are incredibly proud of this cohort. Our amazing team, and I've seen them again today, of coaches and mentors, led by Emma, our wonderful managing director, working closely with our program partner, Curry, have provided the guidance, the skills and the strategic thinking to allow this group of innovators to shape and develop their ask for the next stage in their growth, which is often the hardest part of the journey. Of course, none of this happens without support from our partners, collaborators and sponsors. Government support is vital, and in the not-for-profit sector, without Sustainability Victoria and the financial ability they've given us, we would not have been able to run not just effective not-for-profit programs, but programs that are non-equity exchange programs. We are here purely to support the next generation of great ideas. I want to also thank Food Innovation Centre, Monash University, Circular Economy Business Innovation Centre, AgriFutures Australia for allowing this cohort access to researchers, infrastructure, development support. Also City of Melbourne, and finally our wonderful corporate partners here today to be not just judges, but also to award the finalists their prizes. Woolworths, Simplot and Langdons. Without all of you, these programs just cannot exist. So rather than me talking, I'm going to introduce you to the incredibly wonderful Alice, author and broadcaster and a Rocket Cedar alumni, to be the MC of today's proceedings. But welcome again on behalf of Rocket Cedar. We are thrilled that you're all here. Thank you very much.
Oh, yes. And thank you, Toni. And thank you, Emma, for thinking of me. I feel like very much my role today is as a returning student more than anything. And it feels very much like a closing of the loop because I spent many of my years of learning across the road at Melbourne University's Creative Arts School, and I now use my creative arts skills to connect people with ideas in the world of food. And I will begin too by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the lands on which we meet the Wurundjeri people and paying my respects to their elders past, present and emerging. And I should say that the program that we created, Phenomenon, some of my favourite resources from the program, which helps to connect school children with food, with ideas around sustainability, the environment, food waste. It's a free digital toolkit available to all schools that we very, magically can connect more people with through our Rocket Cedar learnings. My favourite resources within that program are about First Nations practices, and what I learned really was how much we can learn from them to minimise our food waste and to respect our land and country better. What I'm excited about today is learning from this cohort. The best thing that I gained from my Rocket Cedar time was the network and the connections, and we still stay in touch. So whether you win first prize or whether you win an experience of just being here, what you will walk away with are skills that are transferable and translatable. And the most important one is to be able to package your idea in a way that's concise enough that whoever you meet, you can pitch to them, not in 5 minutes, not in 10, but like one sentence. So I look forward to, after this showcase, all of us giving you plenty of practice. We'll all head over. And the other reason why, if you're not pitching today, you're here, is because you're interested in this space. So the best thing that you can do is act as advocates, champions for this new cohort. If they're up on stage and you're interested in the idea, even if you can't contribute, donate, or pitch in, amplify what they do, tag them, check out their website, tell your friends about it. Because if there's one thing that I've learned through my decade plus of working in this space, it's that each and every one of us have a sphere of influence. And if each and every one of us recognize ways in which we can influence that sphere, all of those tiny droplets will lead to a tidal wave of change. And I can already see that happening in this space. And it's so exciting to see all these new ideas come forward. So that's the thing that I'm most looking forward to today. And so, without any further ado, may I introduce you to our first speaker, Alicia Darwell, who will be presenting her idea. Alicia, welcome.
Thanks, Alice. What an absolute treat to be here this afternoon. My name's Alicia Darwell and I'm the Director of Regions and Partnerships from Sustainability Victoria. I'm still, like many of you, getting used to getting out, and it is just so exciting to be back out meeting new people with and listening to stimulating new ideas. I personally am sick of the sound of my dog snoring and my geriatric cat, and ready to have new people to talk to, although clearly I enjoy their company in the evenings. So I just wanted to give you a bit of an insight into the work we're doing at Sustainability Victoria. So Sustainability Victoria established CBIC, which is the Circular Economy Business Innovation Centre, rolls off the tongue, or CBIC. It's a $17 million virtual centre at the forefront of Victoria's transition to a circular economy. The CBIC is funded through the Recycling Victoria policy, a $500 million circular economy plan established by the state government a couple of years ago. CBIC was established to provide businesses with the support they need to innovate, adopt, and implement circular economy business models and practices. It's a lofty task, and one that we do as part of an enormous cohort of like-minded NGOs and government entities, as well as the businesses we work with. We do this a number of different ways, through events and networking, funding, including this $10 million business support fund, which is supporting this project, capability support, including circular economy training and resources, including projects like this accelerator, research, insights, and a what works approach, which is really significant. After each year, we will publish our what works to both share with business, but also with government, so we can learn year on year from what we're seeing and supporting. We also look across the globe for latest circular trends and bring those to Victoria. And our virtual hub is a website where all this is coordinated, which is cbic.vic.gov.au. We know that going circular can create significant benefits for all business types, from creating jobs to providing opportunities for growth and increasing profit by cutting out waste. But going circular is also about our environment, avoiding waste, improving biodiversity, and reducing our impact on climate change. The circular economy is a framework for business to grow sustainably and to achieve their own sustainability goals. I really don't like the corporate social responsibility, but to help them really achieve their purpose and consider how they can look after their stakeholders, all their stakeholders, as well as their bottom line. And it's a way that makes good business sense. Increasingly, customers are demanding more from business in how they support the planet and our people. And the circular economy is a great tool for businesses to meet these new demands in a way that also supports the business. We're just at the start of this journey. Circular economy is not yet mainstreamed, and we have a long way to go before it's business as usual. But we want to accelerate this innovation cycle and get more businesses acting on the circular economy sooner. And that's one of the major reasons why we're funding this accelerator, to accelerate the innovation cycle, to develop good new solutions and push these innovative circular business models into the mainstream. The Victorian government has also committed to halving food loss and waste by 2030. To achieve this goal, we need to reduce food loss and waste by over 1 billion kilograms a year in Victoria alone. What this means is that we need to make sure that all the food we grow is eaten as food, preferably by people. And that's what many of the startups today are here to do. And that's why we're funding this program. The program was designed to support the 15 incredible startups in the room. There are some of the most talented leaders in the forefront of the circular economy to continue to innovate and build solutions to end food loss and waste in Victoria. I'm really excited to see what happens next when this program wraps up. On that note, I would like to thank the 15 participants for their courage and ambition to step into the unknown and push us towards a more sustainable future with their circular economy business models. Without your leadership, we wouldn't be getting where we need to go. I would also like to thank and recognise the incredible work of Emma and the whole team at Rocket Seeder for developing and delivering the program. It's the first of its kind in Australia, and the diverse and talented support team and program partners make it what it is today. As a final plug, I would love you to visit the CBIC website and learn more about what support we have available, including upcoming events, funding and other projects. You can even book a one-on-one chat with the CBIC team and introduce yourself, your idea, or ask a question, or just find out more. We'd really love to have a chat with you. Honestly, we'd love you to book in. It's one of those Calendarly apps, so you can, book quickly in to meet and speak to someone, because the folks who are doing those one-on-ones are speaking to a whole spectrum of people across Victoria, and may, if not now, be able to link you to something in the future. And we all know that central to the circular economy is collaboration. Most importantly, when you visit our CBIC website, please subscribe to our newsletter, as we've got some big announcements coming very soon, and that could well be the ticket you're looking for to support your next steps in the circular economy. Thank you, everyone.
Give me back my notes. Thank you, Alicia. Thank you so very much. And there's one word that Alicia mentioned to describe the participants that I'd like to highlight, and that word is courage. It takes real pluck, gumption, and chutzpah to operate in the sustainability space, because we all know that we need to change our habits, and we all know that we need to have the food waste and have the emissions. It can feel really overwhelming. I remember speaking with somebody who's operating in the circular energy space based out of Dublin, where he's harnessing the power of dance. The dance floor has a closed loop renewable system. And I said to him, how do you keep going? What drives you? What motivates you? Because sometimes it can feel so overwhelming that you actually want to stop. That's what a network like this helps to do. And it also normalizes for you that chipping away is kind of just what you have to do. Having a network of friends is really, really important. So it's just wonderful to see you supporting each other. And now we will support you. Look out into the audience when you give your pitch and see the open eyes, the wide eyebrows and the nodding, and know that we are with you. Our first presenters are Elke Travers and Natalie Kalinova from Seaweedery. And if you haven't tried their prawn oil, it's pretty wild.
Hi, I'm Elke. This is Natalie. We are Seaweedery. I'm a chef, an educator, a lifelong ambassador. I co-founded Seaweedery, make a change, unlock the full potential of the ocean food bowl. Australian coastal waters, our home, island surrounded by the ocean, full of local seaweeds. Thousands of these are left to rot on a beach. Chef, I want to use my skills, my knowledge and my passion to build a new sustainable food system, bringing health and taste straight from the sea to the table. So, I've been experimenting, okay, techniques, the product uses, the icy cold sorbets, the fluffy dumplings. Amazing what you can do with such a culinary delight. Golden kelp is left to rot on a beach. Why? When we can make so much out of it. It's straight, it smells of the ocean, it tastes of the ocean. It's such a delight. I wanted to make a change as a surrounded myself with like-minded people. What can I do as a chef? Like-minded people.
Together we felt okay. We are going to film.
Once we've established a local supply, amazing things from that. So much more. Australia on a map.
Thank you. Oh, wow. Thank you so much. And thank you also for reminding me that there's a hand mic. Gosh, tell you what, lecterns, they're the worst. Now, what I love most about that pitch is that what you're actually going to do is going to contribute hugely to the food industry, not just for your brand, but for other brands that utilize seaweed, which is for any cook, seaweed is a really exciting ingredient as far as umami goes. So if you are looking to invest, that could be a really good one. Now, without any further ado, I'm going to introduce the next presenter, and that is Sivam Krish with Go Micro. Welcome, Sivam, with a big round of applause.
Now, can you tell the difference between that and that? And if you can't, this is what happens to your tomatoes. Millions of dollars worth of fresh produce is wasted due to quality disputes. These tomatoes didn't fall here. They were grown, they were plucked, they were packed, they were ripened, they were transported. Today, we just QC them at one point, while the tomatoes are changing all the way. quality is a continuum. Now, what if we can assess the quality of these tomatoes all the way along, just with your phone? That is exactly what we do. I'm Sivam Krish, founder and CEO of Bloom. Today, we trade billions of dollars worth of fresh produce with the standards that were designed for industrial products, where every product is identical. Now, with natural produce, every natural product is different. It's meant to be different. It's perishable, it's seasonal, and it's complex. Yes, we use engineering system to assess standards and quality. This needs to change. We can do a much better job with AI. So let me explain how an AI quality assessment works. You first need to train an AI engine with typically thousands of images. Now, when you have a lot of shadows and different backgrounds, you probably need 10,000. If you remove those shadows, which we do with our Go Micro device, with this device attached to a phone, you can train with 50 images and achieve very high accuracies. Not only you can achieve high accuracies, you can exceed human accuracy. We've already done that. We can assess the freshness of fish by looking at the eye. 50 of these devices are right now being used in India to assess the freshness of fish. We can grade tea. It takes 5 years to train a tea grade. A company in Singapore is using it. We can assess moisture content. We're doing a research project funded by Bill Gates to assess moisture content. These are things you can't do by hand. These devices are now being used in Kenya and Ivory Coast to assess a very dangerous pest called fall armyworm. We have paid contracts with Bayer to do similar research. Now, we have devices that can look at 10 millimeters to a meter by meter. And these devices are cheap because all they do is diffuse the light, which cost about $1 to $5. We want to put these devices in the hands of the agri-food industry. Our business model is very, very simple. We charge per click. So we are AI as an assessment service. Initially, we are providing a quality assessment service for buyers. Now, in trade, the buyers buy, and then there are bigger buyers who overseas and so on, who want to then assess this service. They start using it. By doing so, we can eliminate quality disputes because they are using the same standards to assess on a phone and at receipt. We hope that this will be the way in which food, particularly perishable goods, are assessed in the future. So our aim is to create a very diverse range of standards that anybody can create and assess accurately. Now, the cost per click is between 0.05 cents to 0.004 cents, which means that we can deliver the service, which we are now doing in India for fish, at 2 rupees a click and 10 US cents in Africa for assessing corn. The margins are significant. The devices are very cheap. The reason why a customer like this is because it reduces food waste, it can potentially eliminate disputes, and of course there's labor saving. So we are starting with vegetables and seafood and grain. We have customers in Australia and India now beta testing and ready to roll on to real life projects. We have a very small team. I'm the CEO and founder. Kasum builds all our AI engines. He's based in Sri Lanka. And Ampreet Singh is a veteran in the grain industry. He's now marketing our solutions in India very successfully. We have Keenan, who's creating all the products that you see there. It's all designed and built in Paris. Now, the food industry is very large. And disputes about quality is a tax on the food system. We can eliminate this tax. We are working with major research industries and companies in the world. We have participated in really good incubators, including Rocket Seed, which we have benefited with. We have customers all over the world. Our aim is to dominate the food QC globally with really cheap, really accurate assessment systems. We are raising $500,000 US for growth from the right investors. Thank you.
That was wonderful, and you can tell a Rocket Seeder student because anyone that can make AI QC feel so digestible has clearly been through an accelerator. So congratulations on that presentation. Two, I helped open a facility for one of the largest apple growers in the country just last year, and that was a $72 million project, and they were grading apples on these huge waterlogged, through these huge waterlogged bins. Imagine having that power in your pocket. That's incredible. Now, our next pitcher is going to talk to you about a real thoughtful. It is indeed thoughtful. She is Natalie Saru, and she is coming forward today.
Hi guys, I'm Natalie and I'm one of the co-founders of the startup called Thoughtful. We're a husband and wife co-founding team at Thoughtful, and our journey started 3 years ago, and that was when we became parents. And it was really through this journey, that fear and joy of becoming parents, that we stopped and evaluated how we were living as a society. And we have really extensive hospitality sales and operations experience, and we're insanely passionate about creating a more sustainable society, not just for our child, but for all future generations. Now, our households are the biggest spellers of food waste, and this is followed by manufacturers and the food service sector. And that's our focus, because in this space alone in Australia, millions of meals worth billions of dollars are wasted. So annually, our food service sector throws out about 666 million meals. Now, I want you to think of that more locally as your local cafe throwing out 14,000 meals each every year. And putting this food in the bin and sending it to landfill, we're putting about 5 million extra cars on the road. And financially, our industry is losing $4.7 billion in revenue. So this is Thoughtful. We focused on reducing waste in the consumption space. Thoughtful is a digital platform for hospitality venues and food retailers to list and sell their unsold food to consumers. Now, Thoughtful handles the transaction and the consumer collects directly from the venue as takeaway. It takes about 60 seconds for a venue to get set up and less than 15 seconds to sell, so it's literally quicker than throwing food in the bin. From our customer point of view, our venues, we help increase their visibility. We're giving it corporate social responsibility and making them more sustainable. We help increase their revenue and we introduce them to new returning loyal customers. And from a consumer point of view, 10 minutes early, the food they enjoy went for full price. We help people save food and feel good about it. And we created a really easy and simple navigational platform that people can search by geographic location or cuisine. Now, early customer interviews, we identified that venues were sick of platforms eating into their bottom dollar. So we created a platform and a business model where the venue doesn't pay and isn't out of pocket. So instead, we added a very small markup to each item listed on Thoughtful. So our customer, the venue, gets their return. The consumer still enjoys the discount and we're able to make money. And we tried to test some local and overseas models, and we've had the privilege of interviewing some users. And in the Australian landscape, so current and previous competitors operate on this mystery box concept, and that is where the consumer doesn't know what they're going when they use their platform. We purposely wanted to make it a lot more transparent. I feel like consumers need to know what they're buying. And as they say at Nike, find something everyone else is doing and do it better, and this is exactly what we're doing at Thoughtful. because globally over 180 million meals have been saved using platforms like Forkful with a combined global funding of over $500 million. We've had some great early traction to date. We have 20 venues around Melbourne signed up to participate in the early trial and over 180 customer accounts created. So that is people that are ready to start using Forkful when we launch. And on that, we're 2 weeks into our initial trial in the city of Darebin. So our strategy through this is to work out our best model for customer acquisition so that we've got a successful model we can replicate as we roll out into different municipalities. We know that partnerships are going to be key in helping us grow and scale. So we've started some really early conversations with some industry leaders in this space. Partnerships are really going to help us get in front of a large number of venues really quickly with little manpower. I want to talk about our addressable market, and that first one, that TAM, well, that's made up of that $4.7 billion of waste meals I spoke about earlier. But I want to talk about our service attainable market. Now, within 1 year of operation, we believe we'll be able to help 2,000 hospitality venues save between 10 to 20 meals a week. Now, that's less than 1% of the market share, and we're looking at $1 million in revenue. And our scale and roadmap is really based on getting that hyper local market, go-to-market strategy down pat and replicating that out as we grow. We know the great sustainability transition is upon us. So to help get to those first 2,000 venues and help us use that as a catalyst to grow and scale, we'll soon be opening our second round of funding. My ask for you today is, if you'd like to participate in our early trial in the city of Darebin, or get behind us as we start funding, please come up and see us over there. Thank you.
Best of luck with those early conversations. And it's true, everybody who you meet, I have to say as well, when you do go out there and start pitching to people, they're all on your side. It can feel really nerve-wracking when you're meeting with people, particularly in this space, and especially when they've got big brands behind them. But actually, they're really excited when you do have a new idea and you found new ways to do things. So put yourself out there and you'll be sure to win. Now, someone who is going to present next, I'm told it's going to be a very innovative way, Emma Cope. Oh, no, here he is. What a surprise. It's Nick Stantiu, and he has an online presentation that I'm going to stall while he sets it up. How are you going? Yeah, good. That was great. Very easy. Okay, well, please welcome Nick Stantiu from Hole.
One-third of the food produced in the world is never consumed. When you stop to think about that number, it's clear to see that our food system is broken. Hi, I'm Nick Stantiu, co-founder of Whole, and we make smart processing tech that eliminates waste by producing highly nutritious whole food ingredients. If you look at food production for the last 200 or so years, it's easy to see just how much waste there is, whether it be energy, water, or even nutrition. It starts with ingredient manufacturers who take wholesome raw inputs and use huge amounts of energy and water to create a range of specialized ingredients, only to pass them on to food manufacturers to recombine them again in the foods that we like to eat. This didn't make a lot of sense to us, so we've developed a unique processing technology that eliminates waste by using the entire input to create highly functional ingredients and flavors. We call this technology WINX, a whole ingredient nutrient extraction process. WINX is an inline processing technology that delivers a new class of plant-based ingredient and changes the way that we think about food production. For ingredient manufacturers, it enables them to create either highly specialized or functional whole food ingredients or cost-effective precursor materials, both of which significantly reduce waste and energy use. For food manufacturers, the tech enables a wide range of genuine label claims for plant-based foods, from zero waste through to enhanced prebiotic benefits and nutrition. With consumers increasingly demanding clean labels and supply chain transparency, the WINX technology is also addressing an emerging supply chain bottleneck for healthy ingredients. Now, with around 25% of produce never leaving the farm, our early focus is on the upstream waste that occurs between farms and ingredient manufacturers. Within this segment, we're targeting fruit and veg and cereals and legumes as the high-value waste streams in this growing products from waste market. What makes Winks so disruptive is that it approaches ingredient manufacturing in a completely new way, focusing on eliminating waste and creating whole food ingredients. The Winks technology is chemical-free, energy efficient, and input agnostic, making it highly attractive to ingredient manufacturers from both a CapEx and OpEx perspective. It's also a proprietary technology, and by securing the underlying IP, we've unlocked a unique licensing business model that will enable us to scale rapidly. Now, while there are definitely other competitors in the space, we believe that we are uniquely positioned to take advantage of the rapid growth that's starting to occur. Looking at the value chain for food production, there have been significant investments at both ends of the spectrum, namely food manufacturing and precision ag, but very little in the middle where the real bottleneck is starting to emerge. More importantly, competitors in this ingredient processing segment are mostly large and well-established, meaning that they're slow and very resistant to change. Our tech is not only disruptive, but directly addresses changing consumer preferences and enables food manufacturers to service those needs. As you can see, we've engaged with many different groups in the lead up to commercialization. Early this year, we'll be undertaking 4 paid trials of our tech, focusing primarily on high protein inputs and a range of applications for upcycling of waste produce. We're collaborating with the CSIRO to conduct a range of nutritional studies on our ingredients. We also have 2 major Australian universities engaging with us on research projects relating to eliminating allergens and enhancing flavors using our tech. And for a bit of blue sky, we've also proven that we can achieve transdermal penetration of our ingredients for cosmeceutical applications. Now, great things rarely happen by accident, and they take great teams with a vision and a proven track record. And that's exactly what we've been able to assemble here. So Ivan Gustavino is a seasoned tech entrepreneur and an M&A expert, and also sits on the board of 2 ASX-listed companies. Cedric Cross, our tech co-founder, has spent the last 45 years in the food processing industry. Philippe, who joined us recently as our CTO, has over 15 years working as a food engineer in projects across the globe. And myself, I'm an IP and commercialization expert, and prior to starting Whole, I used to head up Deloitte's IP strategy and commercialization team across APAC. So most importantly for us as founders, our tech has the ability to do good in the world and really help those in need. Not only does it have an immediate and measurable impact on greenhouse gas emissions, but it directly addresses the issue of waste and enables more equitable food distribution. By massively extending shelf life and enabling processing of locally grown ingredients, we see a future where our tech is not only feeding the people of the world, but allowing them to lead healthier lives regardless of their social standing. To accelerate the commercialization of the Winks technology, we are currently raising $2 million from courageous investors that support our vision to eliminate waste and create more nutritious foods, and especially those that can continue to support our journey as we scale. Thank you for the opportunity to pitch today, and I'm sorry I couldn't be there with you in person.
Thank you, Nick. We really felt like you were still here, and you are still here. There we go. Thank you very much. Cheerio. And now, something that I did not get to experience when I was a Rocket Seeder student. There's a cash prize pool for the presenters today. So the presentations that you saw were the finalists, and now if I may ask the judges to leave the room and while they do, we have another exciting presentation. If you're interested in the sustainability space, and particularly working within the food space, you may be funding your own. And so we have a speaker from Hort Innovation Australia who look after the growers of fresh produce, a grower-owned not-for-profit, who have a frontier fund of their own that's specifically focused on the food waste elimination space, which is really exciting. And I should mention too the phenomenon that completely free digital toolkit that's being used by thousands of schools across the country is also funded by Hort Innovation. So I'm really grateful, fantastic team to work with. Couldn't recommend them more. So please welcome
Tom McHugh to tell you more.
Okay, no worries. Hi, everyone, and thanks for having me today. Whoa, there was some pretty good presentations there, and you know, so encouraging to see some really impactful work that's happening in the food waste space. So yeah, I'm really excited to meet you all after the session. Just from a Hort innovation perspective, you know, we certainly are looking at food waste as being one of the pivotal areas of our funding, and we certainly know that horticulture is one of the key industries that generates waste but has a lot of innovation to deal with the problem. So who is Hort Innovation? We're one of 15 RDCs. We're actually limited, a company limited by guarantee, and we represent the grower industries, but similarly we have 3 key funds. So we cover 37 crops spanning from fruits, vegetables, nuts, and amenity crops. So as you can imagine, there's a lot of challenges when it comes to the food waste space. Like other sister RDCs, we invest in research, development, extension, and ultimately looking at opportunities for transformational change. So we're here to deliver a prosperous and healthy Australia with the best knowledge and solutions that will create a world-class horticulture sector. And increasingly, that also applies to our sustainability outcomes. So we're certainly investing in the space, and we actually have put a lot of effort in the last 24 months in particular in terms of sustainability. It's a $15.2 billion industry to Australia, so it's not insignificant by any means. We cover both domestic and export markets. So, you know, it's really encouraging to see such innovation today, because we certainly need it to manage the ongoing growth of the horticulture sector. So you can see on the screen there's quite a number of different commodities we cover. You know, the challenge set out to us is, how do you make scalable waste changes across a number of these sectors in a meaningful way? We certainly are embarking on the space in food waste, and I'll show you in a minute just some of the areas that we're focusing on. So I'd love to hear more from all of you as to opportunities in the horticulture sector and other sectors for that matter. We have a program called Hort Frontiers. The Hort Frontiers program invests anywhere between $30 to $50 million per annum in R&D projects, where we co-invest with the value chain. So it's not just Hort Innovation. We'll invest with both public and private investors to co-invest in the program to really make a difference. And as you can see up there, we have a strong focus on waste, whether it be food, packaging, and farm waste. We're really trying to look for transformational outcomes, and sure have we seen that this morning. So it's really great to see the innovation coming out of Rocket Seeder. I guess the real challenge from talking with Emma is, how do we translate that into a scalable solution for the sector? So, you know, we believe that Frontiers and working with our partners at the CRCs, we can really help aid in that space in terms of blue sky transformational research. So food waste, you know, we all know the problem. It's a big problem for horticulture. We have a number of industries that generate waste along the chain, whether it be at the production right through to the consumer level. So you'll hear probably a little bit more about that later today. So I won't dwell too much on it. What I want to focus on is, what are we doing about it? So from our point of view, horticulture's definitely not immune. CSIRO showed a lot of work to show that there's a number of sectors that can really raise the bar when it comes to improving waste. The first area is really looking in the food waste space is about, how do we improve food waste and reduce it through production right through to the value chain. And you saw an example before. You know, we want to use the Go Micros of the world to actually really make transformational change right across the value chain. So we, as an example. So we will certainly be looking at a number of investment areas that will be coming out shortly in this space, looking to co-invest with the whole value chain. The next area is increased shelf life. So that can be from a quality perspective in terms of managing the food product itself to actually last longer, but also thinking about where are the pain points in the production and how can we use R&D and technology to overcome some of those challenges. So the picture there you can see is cold plasma, predominantly used for biosecurity and food safety to remove contaminants, but it also has been shown to actually increase the lifespan of the fruit that's being put through the system. So we've got a project at the moment with New South Wales DPI in this space, really looking to make transformational change. Consumer acceptance. One of the things about Frontiers is we're not just about the producer. We realise that we have big marketplaces, and as you saw earlier in some of the presentations, the real focus on improving awareness amongst the consumer is critical to our reduction in the waste program. So we certainly are open to looking at opportunities there as well, to really enhance not only the consumer, but everyone along the value chain in their understanding of food waste. And lastly, probably the big area that I'm really excited about, and we've seen a bit of it today, is how do we transform waste into other products? Medicines, pharmaceuticals, cosmetics, ingredients, biomanufacturing. They're all areas that energy. We want to look at all these opportunities within the Frontiers program to really drive new innovations, and we've seen this today, so it's great. And I'm looking forward to meeting with a number of you after this event. Finally, just an example. So if you do a course overview of avocados, we all know that avocados have been in excess this season. Certainly we want to look at all the different applications of how we could potentially transform into new products, but also value adding to new markets that might be existing. So that's just an example above of just the range of products that could potentially be used. Love to hear any other ideas or innovations that come out of the Rocket Seeder program and others. I'll leave it there.
Thank you so much, Tom. And I think we can all agree with the big Now, it looks like the judges are going in their operations, which is, and I think it speaks to it, that all of those pictures were. I realised too that the question, what drives him beyond surrounding himself with a network of moving in the same. Drives many people recognising that our visible on the news for anyone that had to canoe here from Sydney. We have the power to help offer technologies that will hope they're the ones putting their are. So now is the time to not every day. There will be, how do I even do this? But you
of the opportunities that you don't take. That comes your way is I realise that all of those little something that I hold to be true from I can tell you anecdotes. Now I'm going to go and check on these. I guess 30 million bucks. That's 30 million. That is bring a money gun out. So words of their own. They want
So it's a privilege to be connected to you, and I want to stay connected in the future. And wow, Pocket Cedar blew my mind.
super cool. And I should say Simon too wears a lot of hats. One of those hats is an innovator and founder of his own through GlobeCare, but also as a member of the CRC, the Food Waste CRC. So that's another, if you feel like all those doors are closed in the funding space in the corporate sector, there are always grants that you can seek out, and there are always other, if you can't go through the front door, there are always gates, fences to climb over and back doors to find. Sam's going to speak now.
I thought Sam was just actively listening, but he was waiting for me to stop. So please welcome from the Australian Food Pact, Sam Oakton.
Thanks, Alice. I'll try not to take too long because I'm sure these judges are going to walk back in the room any second. But thank you for the opportunity to be here today. As Alice said, I'm Sam Oakton from an organisation called Stop Food Waste Australia, and I, among others, helped administer a program of work called the Australian Food Pact. Firstly, a little bit about Stop Food Waste Australia and who we are. We consider ourselves to be a rather unique public-private partnership. The Federal Department of Agriculture, Water and Environment put out a partnership call to partner with them and others to give an entity the carriage of the National Food Waste Strategy. So our ambitious national target of halving food waste by 2030, it needed a home, and Stop Food Waste Australia was born. And the companies you can see, or the organisations you can see behind me, are our partners that have joined us on that journey to halving food waste by 2030. And we think it's a really powerful grouping of organisations that represent the food industries from the farm right through to the National Retail Association, and include packaging and the cold chain as well. We also have our very important food rescue and relief sector represented. So whilst our target is to reduce food waste, the highest order destination that food can go to is to feed people that need it. So we also have all three levels of government, which is very important when there's barriers in the policy world, which are very real, that can cause food waste right across the supply chain. The Fight Food Waste CRC was just mentioned. The Fight Food Waste Cooperative Research Centre based in Adelaide, they're our partner organisation, or our sister organisation. We do have, through them, matched funding available to solve food waste problems within industry. Jonathan, my colleague, will put his hand up if you do have a big, hairy, audacious food waste problem that you would like to attract some funding for. Go and have a chat to Jonathan, he'd love to help. Enough about the organisation. What are we doing? So we have 4 key programs of work. We want to implement a voluntary agreement program. That's what I do. We want to communicate, engage and partner for impact. What does that mean? This is not a new area. People have been playing in this space all around the world for a long time. We want to partner with them and understand what they've done, what mistakes they've made, and how we can make it happen faster and better in Australia. We also want to partner with all the fantastic organisations that are doing good work in Australia already. So there's state government programs that have been operating for a number of years. Our charity partners do amazing work in this space as well. So again, we don't want to reinvent the wheel. We don't want to come up with communications. We want to be a central home where we can signpost people to the most suitable source of that information. Sector action plans, I'll talk a little bit about them shortly, but they are where there's a opportunity within a sector and a coalition of the willing, of people wanting to do something to solve that problem. And of course, if you don't measure, you can't manage. So that bottom right quadrant is very important to us. I don't want to bombard you with stats, but I can't talk to a room of this size without making you aware of the scale of the opportunity. So a third of global food supply by weight is wasted, 1 in 4 calories. I'll just leave it at that. You can read the rest of the stats, but this is a substantial global opportunity where we are putting all of those inputs into a whole lot of food that is not being eaten. What does that look like in Australia? It looks like 7.6 million tonnes. That's our MCG. We could fill it up 10 times with food waste every year. That is a travesty. It's also a really big stadium. So it helps to visualize. Another way, you could line up semi-trucks and trailers from Perth to Sydney and you wouldn't, full of food waste, and you would fill the entire highway. So it is a substantial opportunity. I can't labor that point enough. Some more stats to throw at you. I think the one I'll draw your attention to is at the right-hand side of that slide. Like I said, we do focus on waste, but that's against a backdrop of 1 in 5 Australians suffering food insecurity, and that's pre-pandemic, so it's only got worse. So that opportunity to move food that's being wasted or not capturing any value to people that need it is real, and it's live and it's happening. So lots of opportunity. Those stats, I'll send people slides if you want them. Just give me a contact. I won't run through stats in a presentation. So voluntary agreements, what do? They bring companies together and organisations, other stakeholders together to solve problems that are too big, too hairy, too audacious for one organisation to solve by themselves. That's the premise of what we do. That's what has encouraged our first signatories to sign up to the Australian Food Pact, as an acknowledgement that this is a really big opportunity for a number of reasons. There's dollars to be made. It's the right thing to do. There's waste going to landfill, going to less than ideal destinations, and opportunities to do something about it. But that takes a supply chain coming together. It brings government to the table to support industry on that adventure. And it enables the sharing of best practice to reduce that duplication and get things moving faster. So the Australian Food Pact, and I apologise in advance for the amount of detail on this slide, but we work with companies in 4 key areas. We want to embed the consideration of food waste into their buying and sourcing and MPD processes. We don't want to rewrite MPD processes, but when they're being rewritten, we want to make sure that they're considering upstream and downstream food waste as part of that process. We want to optimize the supply chain. What does that mean? It means walking the supply chain. It means being out in the paddock and understanding what's happening on that farm, right through to what's happening in the household and what you're throwing out of your fridge. And then coming up with solutions to do something about those waste streams at all stages. Influencing consumers and businesses, that can mean a number of things. The reality is just about 52% of food waste in Australia is at the consumption end of the supply chain. 33% of that is at the household. We are not going to get anywhere near our halving food waste target unless we can substantially reduce that household food waste burden. That means changing behaviours, and it means industry going on a journey to make it easier and socially unacceptable to waste food at home. It also means businesses changing their own behaviours, highlighting the value of the food that's moving through their systems. And that's a different conversation for every different type of business. And innovative ways to make the best use of surplus food. At its minimum, that is donating edible food to make sure we're addressing food insecurity as part of the solution. But at its most exciting, perhaps, is the transformation potential. And we've seen some of that today. What can we actually do to capture value from some of these waste streams? And the potential is unlimited. So we've seen a snapshot of some good ideas today, but that's what the CRC is all about. That's what we at Stop Food Waste Australia are about. That's what Hort Innovation is all about. There is money and willing people out there wanting to help business find opportunities to capture value from those waste streams. We have some signatories already, and it'll be remiss of me not to give them a bit of a shout out. So those signatories on the board, they are our first ones to sign up, and we consider them to be the leaders in this space in Australia. They're committed to putting actions in place to reduce food waste within their own operations and within their supply chains. So if you get an opportunity, if you're talking to them, give them a pat on the back. If you're talking to your other networks, tell them to call me. I said I'd talk about sector action plans. This is a little bit different to the pact, but it's related. This is where we have an opportunity in a given sector. We've got a couple of live examples. We're doing a sector action plan for the dairy industry where we know there's a huge opportunity. There's a lot of volume and material to do something with it. And we had a willing industry that was wanting to go on that journey and understand what the opportunities would be. We've done similar things and have sector action plans in the food rescue and relief sector, in the cold chain sector, led by the Australian Food Cold Chain Council. And we're just kicking off some other projects with meat and hopefully getting something off the ground in horticulture as well very soon. But sector action plans, they just provide a laser-like focus on a sector where we know there's opportunity, and key is where there's willing participants, for lack of a better term, but willing people to go through these 5 pillars of understanding what the policy implications are, what the barriers caused or supported by government might be. Building a community of practice. We know that there is limited knowledge around the scale and impact of food waste in Australia, period, in every aspect, whether it be behaviour change, whether it be manufacturing processes, whether it be opportunities on the farm. We want to upskill and transfer as much knowledge as quickly as we can. And we think that communities of practice are a good vehicle to do that. We don't have all the answers. There are big research questions that need to be answered. The CRC is part of that. All of the RDCs are part of that solution. But we need to first identify what those research questions are so that we can best align our efforts. Monitoring and evaluation, reporting and impact. Again, we need to measure, because if we don't measure, we can't manage and we can't justify our existence to ensure we can keep doing the things that we are doing. So the measurement piece, again, is critical to making these things work, and for sectors that are a part of this process to demonstrate their willingness to do the right thing and move in these areas. And finally, implementation. We can all write a really fancy plan that can sit on a shelf and collect dust. So the 5th pillar is definitely not the least. It is the key to making these things happen. And once again, that's our partners. I saw OzHarvest in the room. Big shout out to them, and a couple of others might be around as well. But any questions, give me an email, give me a call. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Sam, and thank you also to those people in the room who are part of organisations that have already signed on to that. And another little shout out to OzHarvest. It is those little habit changing opportunities that are identified, something as simple as the use it up tape that you can see and grab before you leave, a little roll of tape so that if you see an avocado that's getting a bit squashy, there's a running theme now, pop a bit of that sticker to say that that's the next thing that you're going to use. Smart. Now I'm just making sure that there isn't, oh yes, okay, well, are the judges, looks like the judges are coming in. They're being rolled in. They're invisible on a trolley. The judges aren't here yet. Okay. So what I'll say too, I spoke about how thank you, Natalie. I've spoken about how motivated big business is to make change, but I should say consumers too are super engaged and very, very attracted to the feeling that they're doing good by buying your product. So that sustainability piece is something that you should be shouting loud and proud, no matter what it is that you're peddling. And my surprise really within the fact that I get to wear so many different hats across the food sphere, or frames, I should say, across the food sphere means that I am speaking to big business, but I'm also speaking to consumers. And my biggest surprise is that some of the things that we just assume they know, they absolutely do not know. A really great example of that, an anecdote that I will slowly tell you while the judges continue to deliberate, is a campaign that Sustainability Vic put together for bread waste, because bread is the #1 most wasted product in households. And so I created a few content pieces around bread wetting, which for people who have ever seen a 1900s to early 20th century cookbook, it's just called Refreshing Bread. And it's something that you might have seen your nana do, but people were shook. They were so surprised to know that if you run a stale bread under a tap and then pop it in the oven, it's good as new. I know, bread wetting, get around it. So again, it's about recognizing that something that we might assume everybody knows, and we might think, oh, that's old news, I don't need to share that. Share it, because you'll always find a new audience for it, and you'll continue to add value for your audience. Now, speaking of adding value, our esteemed judging panel have returned just in the nick of time, and we cannot wait to find out who these winners are. So please welcome the force of nature. Oh, no, another anecdote, shall we? I, for one, actually have no idea who's going to take this one out. I think that all of the presentations were just wonderful, and all of your ideas are terrific. And please do, if you haven't had a chance to go around and have a look at the other members of the cohort, do take the time before you leave here today to have a look and have a chat as well. But please welcome the force of nature that is Emma Coath.
Thank you, Alice, and thank you everyone for coming today. It means a lot to us, and us meaning Rocket Cedar and everyone involved in Rocket Cedar and the cohort in particular, because one thing they need is, people to, they need feedback at this really early stage. So it's awesome that you're here. Okay, so drum roll. Everyone wants to know. Nervous. Okay, so we'll just go straight off the bat, and we need some assistance from Taylor. Taylor Battistella, by the way, is our community manager and is also an entrepreneur himself, not in food or agriculture, sort of is. Silkworms.
One day.
So if you want to know about silkworms, talk to Taylor. He's been in business since grade 6. Seriously. Seriously. So first prize goes to, what do we, oh, okay, yeah, sorry. Well, okay, we might start with fourth prize. How about that? So fourth prize goes to Seaweedery. So thank you, and we'll get is it Joe Price? Joe to hand that prize. Oh, actually, there's 2 of you, isn't there? There's only 2. Yeah, one. So the significance is the SDG pins, which is that this program is all around. It's all around SDG 12.3. That's really important to us because what it does in terms of aligning our programs, what we do with sustainable development goals, is it makes it part of the global conversation. So yeah, that's very important to us. So it might seem a bit dorky, but anyway, that's what. And seaweed, I should mention too, Seaweedery, $5,000 grant too. Okay, so next we'll go with equal second prize. So Forkful and Go Micro. So Forkful. Okay. Forkful. Oh, there you are. Go Blind. So thank you. So what we'll have, so you get $1,000 each out of this is the $30,000 prize pool. Thank you to our with hopeful Alicia. How many more SDG? Thank you very much. And Go Micro, AgriFutures Grow Ag. Yeah, so thank you guys. You did an amazing job. And first prize goes to Nick. Big Nick. So Phoebe is the head of sustainability for Simplot, one of our sponsors, and she's just giving Nick a virtual handshake. And it's good. You don't need an SGD pin because you won't get it in time. You've already got one. So Nick Hole gets $10,000. And I just
thank you so much, everyone.
wanted to
Thanks.
do some thank yous. Obviously, thank you to Taylor, who was here. Well done on coordinating everything. We couldn't have done it without you. And I know that the cohort really appreciates your support. And also the coaches. So we had 3 coaches throughout this program. Jonathan Lacey, who's from Crux's Innovation, who unfortunately can't be here today because he's unwell. It was also one of the coaches, Patrick Watson from Tarn Food Consulting here. Thank you, Patrick. Simon Lockery over here. And Simon is an associate professor at RMIT University, works with the CRC for Fight Food Waste, industrial designer by background, also has a business called Glowpair, shout out. And I've got the Glowpairs here. So thank you very much, Simon. Also the Rocket Seeder board, thank you very much. Tony, thank you for your opening of today. That was very much appreciated. And to our judges and our speakers, I've got some little gifts for you. So thank you very much for your time. And oh, sorry, you do get something else. Get a microphone, a Go microphone. And so it's used up tape from Oz Harvest and microphone for your phone, iPhone. Yeah. And then over here. It's like Christmas. Thank you very much, Joe from Langton's. Yeah. And also to our speakers who I didn't hear, I wasn't here, but I'm sure you did a fantastic job. Thank you, Tom, and thank you, Sam. There you go. And Tom will actually give you a micro stove, so you can play with it. And someone stole the other one, so I'll have to things do go missing. And I believe that Nick has something to say. Thanks, Nick. Congratulations again.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. We can hear you.
Yeah, fantastic. No, I just wanted to say thank you so much to the sponsors, the judges, the mentors that have made this program possible. As you know, waste is such a major issue, so it's great to see groups like Rocket Seeder shining a light on this global problem. Special thanks to you, Emma, to Tony, and to the entire Rocket Seeder team for making this opportunity available, and I highly recommend it to all the agri-food startups out there. For us, winning this award just gives us even more motivation to take our tech globally and to really impact food waste. So stay tuned for more updates, and if you're interested in working with Whole, please feel free to reach out. And thanks again from sunny Perth.
Looking forward to meeting you one day in person. It's a strange world that we live in. Another thank you too is to our mentors for the program as well. It's sort of, we do get our mentors involved during the program, but it's sort of an ongoing sort of rolling situation with our mentors. We're bringing on more all the time. We've got one of our main mentors here in Jonathan Midders, who also works for the CRC for Fight Food Waste in Adelaide. And he's also a Rocket Cedar alumni. So thank you being a mentor, and all the other board members and mentors that we have. We couldn't do what we do without them. Taylor, I'll just get you to pop back the slide. Oh, do you need to come back here? I won't touch anything. That was one of my special skills is during the program, because I was host a lot of the time. Sometimes I'd just, you know, shut down the whole thing. Yeah, I was like, sorry guys. Yeah, sorry, the other one. That one? I am actually very good with technology. So I just wanted to thank the cohort members. They're up here, the startups. Most of them are around here. We've also got, thank you to the City of Melbourne, we've been able to include some other startups or startups within organisations like Users Uptake that Oz Harvest have. So please, after this, if there'll be more food, sweets and coffee, and please do stay and chat with our cohort here and the additional businesses as well. So thank you for that. I'll leave it there. I might just leave this slide up here and throw to Alice to close it off.
Okay. Thank you so much, Emma. And obviously for Nick, that prize money will be so fantastic and will contribute just that little bit for the rent for the boardroom that he's. Some closing remarks. We've had the thank you. Peak 2022 there. Some closing remarks. We've had the opportunity to spend some quality time together today, and I'm sure that all of you are already starting to think about what it is that you can do within your sphere of influence. Some of you might also be thinking, I have an idea. Maybe I should do Rocket Cedar. Couldn't recommend it enough. Really fantastic. And I'm sure that all of the cohort of 2022 couldn't agree more. Perhaps the cohort of 2022, if you could stand up and give everybody a wave so that we can, and give them a huge round of applause. Legends. Congratulations. Well done. Go forth, continue to affect change. Keep going. The motivator is intrinsic. It'll continue. And if we see each other around the traps, please do come over and say hello. And before you go, make sure that you make a connect. You're in this room because you're passionate about this space. So make a friend, exchange cards, keep in touch. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. Thank you again to Emma Coath and to the whole Rocket Cedar team, and enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Cheerio.